Hello, everyone. Rachel Appleby is our guest today. She has taught English for International House and the British Council in the UK, Spain, Portugal, Slovakia, and Hungary. Rachel also worked full-time at TESOL-Hungary University, and now she works part-time for Corvinus University. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, hello.
So you came to Budapest a long time ago. Do you consider yourself English or probably Hungarian?
For a start, I don't consider if I'm in the UK, I consider myself British. I have Scottish ancestry and maybe somewhere a little way back there, a little bit of Welsh. So I'm British when it comes to that side of things. I now have dual citizenship, so I'm also Hungarian. And that's not so much that I feel Hungarian, but I've lived abroad now for, as you mentioned, many, many years. I feel very European, and I think that's really, more of what I feel like. And thanks to Brexit, I decided that I had to be a European, and becoming Hungarian was my way to do that. So, yeah.
But you are the co-author of several business course books published by Oxford University Press. You also teach business English. So why is that? So do you have any connections to business or trade?
I sort of fell into business English quite naturally. Before I started teaching, I worked for 5 years in marketing in the UK, in the classical music industry, working for a music agency and then for Decca, a record company. So I had a very sort of passive understanding of being in an office of how business works. I was in an office every day. It didn't frighten me in any which way. And when I was teaching, for example, at International House, I realized that some people who were asked to teach a 2x2 class at a company were thinking, what's it going to be like? All these guys are going to be wearing ties and suits, and what do we talk about? And it's not like that at all. I mean, for a start, people don't wear ties anymore. But, that's by the by. It's, these people are human. They might have their work needs, and that's actually what makes learning very focused. But they also have, families and lives and all the rest of it. So I fell into that kind of naturally and fairly automatically. And now, or latterly, I've found that teaching advanced level business, specifically one-to-ones, which again is just something that happened, is one of the things I like most.
Your voice can be heard on Budapest metro and tram lines. Do you use Budapest metro and tram lines yourself? And how do you feel when you hear your own voice?
I tend to go everywhere by bike if I can. And that's not because I particularly like to keep fit. It's partly because I know that if I leave home at a particular time, I know exactly when I'm going to arrive. And I'm very impatient about wasting time. So it's convenient. It also means when I come home and I live up a hill, it gives me a bit of exercise. So it's an excuse because I've never been to a gym. So I tend to go by bike. Unless it rains. I once had an accident on the tram lines in the rain on my bike. So I now don't go anywhere by bike if it rains. And that's when I have to get on a bus or a metro. And again, I'll do that if I'm on my own. And if I'm with anybody else, it's actually usually very embarrassing because they are listening to my voice and getting very excited. And when I'm on my own, I actually feel that everybody must know that it's me and my voice up there. I'm sitting here on the metro. They must know somehow. Of course, nobody knows it's me. But I do find it quite strange, I have to say. And if I can avoid it, I do. And I really try and avoid it with anybody I know because I know they're going to wind me up. But I have to say, I'm very proud to be doing this job. I love doing it. And I wouldn't give it up for all the world.
So let's talk about the IATEFL conference. So you are one of the plenary speakers at the IATEFL conference in 2022. What are you planning to talk about? Can you talk about it? This?
Sure. Well, first of all, I feel really privileged to be a plenary speaker. It's a fairly big thing. I'm also quite nervous, but I feel very honoured and thank you, on behalf of IATEFL for the team that you've asked me. So I'm going to be talking about giving instructions, which might seem like lesson 1 on a teacher training course, how to give instructions in the classroom. But I don't know how many times it comes up again and again and again. And even with, all these years of experience that I've got, I too, experienced teachers forget actually that when we plan a lesson, we might have detailed notes, we might have a fairly complex lesson plan, or we might have a number of bullet points. If you've got 5 or 6 things you want to cover or do in a lesson, that's kind of your plan, and you feel, okay, I'm ready for this lesson. The rest of it, and there's an awful lot of the rest of it, is in your head. You know exactly, you have a mental picture of what you're going to do. But it doesn't always work that way, as I think we all know. And what might be crystal clear for what we have in mind might turn out something totally different for our students. Now, with most activities, I think it's the first thing to be aware of, and this is the only thing I'm going to mention, but it's really important to mention that as a teacher, you have a goal and a purpose. You have something in mind, a reason for doing this activity. Let's say you want the students to talk about their weekend. It's Monday. You want them to talk about what they've done. You might want them to practice talking about activity types or the past simple or prepositions of time or place. That's your aim. But you're not going to say that to the students. You're going to ask them to maybe talk about an activity, their weekend, and see if they did anything the same as their partner. What are the similarities and differences with their weekend? That's for the students, that's the aim and the goal. And you know that to achieve that, they probably need to use the past simple. So already we've got the goal for the teacher and the goal for the students. But I've seen students get out their phone and show their partner a picture of maybe a sports event, without saying anything. This is what I did at the weekend. We failed, the instructions were not clear. It's not about really simply comparing the weekend. It's about, I want you to use language X. So unless we've really set up that incredibly simple activity that we must do every week at least once with one group, what did you do at the weekend? Unless it's set up really clearly, the students aren't necessarily going to use the language. Maybe that's a little bit of a simplistic example, but I think we need to remember, usually we have 2 aims for an activity, and the instructions need to make sure that the students are going to do what I want them to do so that both their aim and my aim is achieved. So I'm going to talk about step-by-step approaches and some key golden ingredients that we can include so we win every time. We'll see.
Okay. And finally, about yourself. So you must be extremely busy with work. So how do you relax? So do you have any hobbies that you do in your free time?
Yes, I do. I never have time for enough, but I try to squeeze them to reduce the work I'm doing. The real switch off I have is watercolor painting. I don't do it to show anybody else, and it's not about the outcome, like a good activity. It's about the process. So the really focusing on the paper and the pen and the paints and the water and the colours and how they merge is what I really love to do. But it takes time to stop doing something so that I can really focus on that. Otherwise, I sing in a choir, I play the cello, I play in a string quartet. We meet regularly and we play stuff by Mozart and Beethoven and Dochnani and all sorts of other exciting people, Borgi and all sorts of exciting people. So I play music, I listen to a lot of music, and I love painting and sketching and stuff. And hiking. So when I need to get out, when it's not just my bike coming home uphill, then I go out up into the hills to the village and get lots of fresh air and exercise. Yeah.
Thank you for being available for this interview, and see you at the
welcome.
Conference.
I'm looking forward to it enormously. Thanks very much, Attila. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.